Neha, could you please tell us about yourself?
So, I'm a human resources professional, and I came to Canada as an international student in September 2021. Before that, I was a flight attendant, just like how you mentioned.
There are many other countries in the world. Then why did you choose Canada?
So, I had reasons to come to Canada. For starters, I have my extended family here.
When you landed here in Canada, what was your first feeling?
Actually, because I was a flight attendant and I was already traveling the world and I had been to Canada multiple times, it did not feel any different, to be honest.
Did you do any part-time during your studies time?
Yes, I did. But I did not do it during the first year of my MBA. I will just, with my first and the second term, I will only focus on my studies right now and I will not work.
What's Neha's success mantra or Neha's usual mantra?
So this is not originally my mantra, but this comes from Tony Robbins, who's a great coach, and that is, life is happening for you and not to you.
Hello everyone. Welcome to Canadian Dream JUS Podcast. I, Robindeep, on the behalf of our entire team, welcome you to our new episode. Today, we have a special guest here. Why special? Because her journey is a testament to all those who wants to have a transition in their career. So, without wasting any time, I would like to welcome Neha Sharma. Welcome, Neha.
Thank you so much, Robindeep. It's an absolute pleasure to be here with you today. And thank you so much for providing me with this opportunity where I can share my journey, especially of the transition, with so many people who are looking forward to go into that direction. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. So, how are you feeling today?
I am feeling absolutely amazing today. My day has been great, and I actually had a great news today. I just received the confirmation of my permanent residence today, so which is why it's a great day for me today.
Many congratulations for that. So before we go further into her journey, I just want the audience know that Neha Sharma is a flight attendant turned HR. So we are going to discuss about her journey, how has Canada been to her, and her tips and tricks. So Neha, could you please tell us about yourself, who you are, where are you from, and everything?
Sure. So I'm a human resources professional, and I came to Canada as an international student in September 2021. Before that, I was a flight attendant, just like how you mentioned, and I was a flight attendant for 15 years before I thought of pivoting my career and getting into HR. Mm-hmm. I am also a certified spiritual healer and a life coach, and which is why I'm passionate about empowering people. So I'm glad that through this episode, I would be able to share some tricks or some pearls of wisdom that could be beneficial to people. So thank you once again for having me.
Definitely. So to start with, I just want to ask you that why Canada? There are many other countries in the world. Then why did you choose Canada?
That's a good question. So I had reasons to come to Canada. For starters, I have my extended family here. And in 2019, my brother was planning to move to Canada on his permanent residence. And so was my sister, deciding to move here along with her family. So I thought I wanted to pursue MBA like 17 years back, and now they are planning to move to Canada. Is it a divine plan orchestrated for me? So when I started to connect the dots, I was also contemplating to elevate my career at that point of time. I wanted to pursue my MBA and get into a managerial role eventually. So when I connected the dots, it all felt like this is the way forward. So might as well go where the family is going so that I would still have support while I'm an international student.
Yeah, definitely. So let's go back to the good old days. Mm-hmm. When you landed here in Canada, what was your first feeling?
Oh, so my first feeling, actually, because I was a flight attendant and I was already traveling the world and I had been to Canada multiple times, it did not feel any different, to be honest. It just felt like one of those vacations or those work trips where I would come, be with my family, spend some time, and then go back. So till the time the university sessions hadn't opened up, it just felt like, that second home to me. It was only after the university session started that the reality sunk in that Neha, you're not on a vacation, you're not a flight attendant, you are an international student.
Definitely.
And that is when challenges came in and the reality sunk in that, okay, this is a new way of life for you now. So initially it was good, but it was just later on that the reality sunk in eventually.
Definitely. So, like, what were the initial challenges that you faced, like, while starting your journey as an international student?
Wonderful question. I'm not sure if everyone would be able to relate with those, but because I pursued my MBA after 15 years of working full time, so the initial challenge was definitely to get into the rhythm of studying full time.
Definitely.
So I am in this situation where I've left my comfortable job and I'm studying full time. I do not have finances coming in, but instead just pouring out.
Mhm.
So that was a challenge to first get into the rhythm of full time studies. Second was that in my undergrad, I pursued bachelor's in chemistry,
Oh.
and then I transitioned to being a flight attendant. And now here I was pursuing business.
Okay.
So I was studying those courses that I'd never studied before: finance, operations, accounting, economics. So it was definitely overwhelming. But I was never afraid to ask for help. So I would reach out to my peers and classmates and I would ask them if they could support me with certain concepts. But that was definitely challenging for me.
Mhm.
Another challenge was I lost my financial independence. So, all this while that I was traveling, I never had to think about, should I spend money here? Should I buy this? Should I go out and eat? Should I explore this place? I never had to think about all of those things. But now, because I wasn't working, and international students pay exorbitant amount of tuition fees, I had practically utilized 90% of my savings towards getting myself enrolled in my MBA. So I lost my financial independence. Now I had to think, should I spend money here? Should I buy this? Do I really need it? So I became quite calculative and wise with my money, but I lost my financial independence.
Mhm.
And similarly, I also lost my social independence.
Mhm.
I wasn't going out. I wasn't exploring places. All this while I was traveling, and now I'm cocooned in this student living, thinking, should I go out or should I study? If I go out, I will have to spend money. What do I do? So, overall, it was a major identity crisis for me. That I had a very different lifestyle, and now here I am, calculating every move I make. So, it was definitely challenging and overwhelming to say the least.
Definitely. So, during this journey, how was your family support? You were saying that you were having your family here.
Mhm.
So, what was their support? Like, were they compelling or were they easygoing?
Compelling? Not at all. My family has never been compelling. They've always been motivating me, pushing me, supporting me in achieving whatever I want to. So, at my age, like even today, I'm not married. So, I did not succumb to societal pressure, nor did my parents. They supported my aspirations of building my career. And they were like, okay, if you need finances, we're here to support you. You just focus on your studies.
Mhm.
So even though I have family here, they would always support me. So, like my maternal uncle and aunt, they would say, if you need food, we will drive to Niagara to give you food.
Mhm.
You only focus on your studies.
Mhm.
My sister was here. She's like, if you need money, I'm here to support you. My brother was still in India at that point of time. My parents, everyone was like, you need something, we are here. You only focus on your studies because it's a transition phase for you. You're bridging that gap. You're studying after 15 years. So it's going to take you time to, acclimatize yourself to the different situation that you're in right now. So take it one step at a time. We are here to support you. We have your back. So I am absolutely grateful to have such a brilliant and a supportive family.
That's actually a great thing to have. Family support is something very important, whether you are in the transition period or in any period of your life, right? So now I would like to speak about your educational journey. That which university were you in, and what were your programs, and why did you choose that particular program only?
Okay. So I came here to pursue my MBA with specialization in human resources. So, like I said, 17 years back, I wanted to pursue my MBA. And now, when I thought of again, getting into the school, it had to be MBA. And I did it from Brock University in St. Catharines in the Niagara region. Why did I pursue HR? Because I've always been a people person. So, being a flight attendant, I was always surrounded by people. So, it was always about how can I make the journey comfortable for people? How can I probably make it memorable for them? In a nutshell, how can I empower people? So, even as in HR, I would want to develop people. I am not a numbers or a product person. I would rather develop people who are behind the numbers in the products. So, even as a life coach, I want to empower people. So, it was always about people and it had to be human resources.
Actually, Neha, you have very rightly said that build people and people will build business. So now we are going to know about how was your academic journey, Neha?
That's a great question. So, like I said, initially it was very difficult for me to get into the rhythm of studying. So that's how it started. And it was challenging because of the courses that I was enrolled in, and eventually also the course load. That made it challenging. When I was looking for a co op job, it was very traumatizing for me to apply for so many applications and get rejected because some employers would think that I am overqualified for some roles, and some would say that I was underqualified for some roles. So there was always this tug of war. Where do I see myself fit? Do I apply for an absolute entry level, or do I apply for something which will value my experience? So it was quite challenging. And I actually found it challenging to get the right kind of support from the career center of my university, unfortunately, especially because I was a mature student with 15 years of experience. There were a lot of challenges revolving finding the right job, studying those courses. So it was definitely challenging, but everyone has fair share of ups and downs.
Definitely.
So this was definitely those things that I found really challenging. But I feel that the good thing was that we had a distinguished faculty, and they were all very warm and welcoming, approachable, always willing to help the students. In fact, one of my professors, he offered to give me an opportunity for a co-op. While all this while I could not secure a co-op, my professor offered me that opportunity. And he was also the one who actually gave reference for my job. And he was like, I will be your lifelong recommendation giver, okay? So it's nice to have such people, such professors around who are always looking forward to, pushing their students out. So that was really amazing. And it was gratifying to see people around like that. And also some of the peers who would support me that this is what you're finding hard to navigate. Okay, we are here to give you that support. So academically, it was a lot of ups and downs. But I think the best thing that my MBA did to me was it made me pragmatic in my approach towards life as well as my career. So it brought me to a place where I could balance my emotions. I could be in a balanced way with respect to rationality, as well as being emotionally intelligent and compassionate. My MBA also helped me to hone my skills of critical thinking and strategic thinking. So, academically, that experience really empowered me in my personal life as well as my professional life.
Yeah, definitely. I really like this thing that you said that sometimes people are not able to see your shine, but you just need only one person who is not judgmental towards you, who just know you, who believes in you that you are able to do it, right?
Yeah.
So that comes with another question. Did you do any part time during your studies time?
Yes, I did. But I did not do it during the first year of my MBA. So, like I said, it was difficult for me to navigate the transition, especially because of the course load. I thought that maybe, I will just, with my first and the second term, I would just focus on studying, bridging that gap, and maybe I would do some extra co curricular activities. I will only focus on my studies right now and I will not work. So, it was only after my co op and then during the third term that I started working. So I was working as a beauty specialist at Shoppers Drug Mart, and I was working part-time there. Because I already had knowledge about beauty products as a flight attendant, I knew about skincare, so it was easy for me to get this job. And I know some people do get rejected because of part-time jobs too. So I was rejected for a cashier job at Walmart
Oh.
and Tim Hortons. But then I thought maybe, this rejection is a redirection for me. Let me look for something else that I would enjoy doing. And now here I was as a beauty specialist recommending people different products that I would try myself and then recommend to them. And I was not just getting a little more than the minimum wage, I was also getting a lot of beauty products as gratis for the training that I was undergoing. So, in a way, that rejection from Walmart was a redirection to something better. And eventually, this was also one of the reasons that I got my current job because I had experience within the retail industry as well as the beauty industry.
Definitely. See, every experience counts.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
So that comes to my next question. You said that you were involved in so many extracurricular activities. So could you please shed some light on it that were these helpful? If it is, then how should one proceed for it?
Absolutely. So, our university had a program called Campus Wide Curriculum, and they had 10 different domains that they had workshops in. So, for instance, leadership, community engagement, wellness. So, I was actively participating there. And the university had this thing that if you complete the entire program within 2 years, you would be given a certificate as well as a red cord during your convocation.
Awesome.
So I thought maybe, now that I'm not studying in my first and the second term, maybe I'll just complete it quickly. So I ended up completing 70% of that in my first term.
Awesome.
So that I could have time to do a part-time job later on. So I kind of strategized it in a way that I could make the most of my time. Another thing that I did was I gave a presentation on emotional intelligence in leadership during my university's leadership summit. I was also volunteering in the Human Rights and Equity Department of my university. And I was also the Vice President of External Affairs in the Business Council of my business school. So I was responsible to procure sponsorships for the events for the development of graduate students. So this is something that I highly recommend to all the international students because this is a way for you to build a lot of your skills. So as international students, you're going out, you're stepping out of your comfort zone, you're building your confidence, you're networking with a lot of professionals, a lot of classmates, a lot of people. Definitely your networking skills are improving, your leadership skills are improving. You're going out and meeting different people from different backgrounds and cultures. So there is a lot of cultural enrichment that happens. You're able to understand the different nuances of cultures and better integrate yourself. And I think this is absolutely that playground where you can test and try all kinds of learnings and then eventually transfer them to the workplace. So definitely the extracurricular activities, they give you that boost in confidence and you can replicate those skills, those experiences and those learnings when you're actually in the corporate world.
Yeah, definitely. I definitely relate so much with it. People, most of the time, they underestimate volunteering, right? I think so. We shouldn't do that. We should
Absolutely
actively
not.
participate in order to have, more experience because that experience will definitely add in our professional life as well.
Yeah. And it's not always about monetary gain, right?
Yeah,
You're still
definitely.
learning something out of it.
Definitely.
You're building on so many skills.
Definitely. So, Neha, you have shared a lot with us. If I would like to ask one question, that what has been your most rewarding experience so far? Then what would that be?
Okay. So I think I might get a little emotional with that because my most rewarding experience would actually be my convocation ceremony. And I think because I was studying after so long, I challenged myself. I took a leap of faith. I pushed myself beyond my limits. And here I was being presented this degree in my hand after thinking about it for like 17 years. So I think it was a culmination of months of hard work, discipline, resilience, positivity, perseverance, and unwavering support from my family. So it was not just, my accomplishment, it was a family victory. And what made it even more memorable was that I had my parents and I had my maternal uncle and aunt sitting there watching me, walk the stage. So it was wonderful to have two sets of parents to see you succeed in life. And while I was walking down the stage, I also had that same professor who provided me the opportunity of the co-op. He actually got up on the stage and he gave me a warm hug. It was gratifying. And in that moment, everything felt so wonderful. And it was like, this is it. This is it.
So amazing to know about this experience. As you all know that so far we were talking about Neha's academic journey. Now, Neha, I would like to ask that do you have any sort of experience which you felt like that it's a proud moment for me? Still, it was very challenging, but I would consider it as a very, very proud moment.
Yes, absolutely. So, this was actually the toughest part of my entire MBA journey. Winter of 2022, so from January to April, my parents, they were visiting us and they just left in the first week of February. So I started to miss them a lot. It was my first Canadian winter, so it was definitely depressing.
Very harsh.
Very harsh, yes. I was in the middle of applying for my co-op, and after sending out innumerable applications, I was only getting rejections. I was just not able to get even a single interview. The course load for that particular term was intense. The courses, the subjects, the number of assignments, it was absolutely overwhelming. On top of that, Russia and Ukraine went for a war. And as a healer, it triggered me to a point that I would actually cry when I would look at pictures and videos. It was traumatizing. And it indeed, with all of these situations, it became the most challenging part of my life. And I just didn't know, how to navigate. But just because I'm also a healer, I could incorporate meditation, mindfulness, journaling, and self-reflection, and try to strategize a plan that I could use to make sure that I'm studying properly and I'm able to give my exams properly. I'm actually able to do justice to what I was here for. So with all of that, I could persevere. And eventually, by the end of this term, I was distinguished as one of the top business students. So I was inducted into the Beta Gamma Sigma Society. And this society honors the top 20% master's student in the top 5% business programs in the world. Mm-hmm. So that was a great moment for me because I was in the midst of a chaos. Mm-hmm. So it was the most chaotic and the traumatizing term of my life. But eventually, just because I could think of different strategies and kind of pivot myself in a different direction, eventually my results and the efforts that I put in, they materialized into this, this honor for me, which I never thought of. So this was definitely a proud moment, and I feel so grateful for having overcome that term as well as for having achieving this great honor. So yeah.
Yeah, I would definitely like to add one thing over here that most of the time we feel that if we are very focused, then environment doesn't affect us. But I believe sometimes it does affect us, especially when things like war happen, right? So I really like the idea that you started journaling and self-reflection. It really helps us a lot.
In fact, sorry to cut you, but when the war happened, the stock market crashed and my entire investment portfolio plummeted and it went into absolute negative. So here I was already, being frugal with my finances, not getting a co-op job. And now if I'm looking at my investments, it was terrifying to, look at my finances. So it became so overwhelming. Yeah, it was pretty overwhelming.
It was looking like that everything is going down, not going up. So I can really feel it. Sometimes it happens most of the times. So now I would like to ask that did you participate in any of the other networking events outside of your campus?
So during my academic journey, like when I was an international student and studying at the university, no, it was only the networking events that happened in the university. But almost when I was about to complete my university and after that, I actively attended some of the networking sessions held by the Human Resources Professional Association, HRPA, which is categorically for HR professionals. So I did network a lot there. And Actually, the one thing that is interesting is that as a flight attendant, I never needed a LinkedIn profile. So I created my LinkedIn profile in 2019. And when I came to Canada, I had just 131 LinkedIn connections. So all this while, people would tell me, network, build your network. That's going to help you get a job. That's going to give you a lot of mentorship opportunities. You would be able to find mentors. But I was like, what is networking? So I randomly started adding people on LinkedIn thinking that it's just a number. So the more connections I have on LinkedIn, I have a network. That's what networking meant to me. So all this while, no. But it was only after I completed my MBA, I realized what actually networking meant. And that is when I actively started reaching out to people and built those mutually beneficial relationships and friendships that helped me in creating a great support system and finding true friends for life. So that is when I started stepping out of my comfort zone, meeting people. And as a flight attendant, I never had any hiccups about going out to people and starting a talk. I can always initiate a small talk. That was never a challenge. But just the idea of what exactly is networking, that was something that I was oblivious about.
Yeah, definitely. You know what? This networking thing is very much prevalent here in North America, but not in India, right? So I can fairly believe in that you must not be aware of it unless and until you studied about it, right? So, okay. So just wanted to know that were you in studies always, or did you, roam around? Were you able to explore Canada?
Yes, with the blessings of my family who could fund my expenses, of course, yes. With my family, I could travel to Algonquin Park, to Lake Muskoka. In fact, Lake Muskoka was one of those memorable experiences. We went there and we hired we rented this pontoon boat. And now, you're like sailing and sailing and sailing into the waters. And then you are at this place where there is absolute silence. There's absolutely no one around. And you're like, from a chaotic life of studying, and, just running, that rat race, you're like somewhere where you have absolute silence to self-reflect. And all of us, we were like, let's just shut down the engine and let's dip our toes into water. And that felt so surreal. And I feel it is so important to, distance yourself away from all the errands you're running, everything that you're doing that's making your life chaotic, but you really need to do them. But then also, find the time to rejuvenate yourself, your mind, body, spirit.
Definitely.
You really have to find that time. So I think that was one of those experiences which was quite rejuvenating for me. And, I could bounce back better.
Do you have any resources in mind that could be useful for an international student to explore if they want to? Because you better know that whenever we are an international student, we are very limited with the resources. So any tips and tricks for them?
Absolutely. So like I said, my family was financing. They were taking care of all my expenses. But I understand all international students might not be in that situation. So, in fact, the first thing I would tell anyone who's a newcomer to Canada is that if you want to explore a new place, research and plan and budget your travels. So especially for international students, make sure that you have allocated a budget to your travel so that you're not eating onto the resources that are going to cater to your tuition fees or to your living expenses. So begin with that. I understand you want to explore, but budget, right? That'll be the biggest thing I'd say. In terms of resources, I would say that students should definitely leverage student discounts. So there is a card called Student Price Card, SPC, that helps you buy stuff online or in retail stores on a discount. So as students, you can get a membership yearly, which is pretty economical, and you can get a lot of discounts. So even when you're traveling, you can get certain discounts there. Another one I can think of is that get involved with the library in your city. So a lot of libraries, they offer you a card that you can probably use for like an entire week, and you can go to any place for free, multiple locations, multiple times. So make use of those. Another resource would be the Canoe app. So this is something which is wonderful for all newcomers and international students. So if you're a member, you get There are some places that you can actually absolutely explore for free, and for some places you can get heavy discounts. So this is really a great resource for any newcomer in Canada to leverage, not just the international students, but even the PR, the new citizens. They have certain eligibility criteria, so I would recommend that people actually go out and check the Canoe app. And I don't get anything out of it, but just advocating it, because I think there are certain resources that we can leverage to cut down on our expenses and not feel guilty about traveling and exploring places.
Yeah, definitely. I wasn't aware about this Canoe app, so I'll be definitely advocating about it, and that then we will let them know that see we are advocating you.
I actually got to know about it just maybe 3-4 months back.
Okay, awesome. So far we have covered Neha's academic journey. Now we are going to speak about her professional journey. So far we have covered her educational journey. Now we would love to speak about your professional journey. So Neha, could you please tell us about your professional journey? What did you do to stand out? Things like that.
That's actually quite interesting. So when I came, I pivoted my career, and I did not have a lot of HR experience. I had 15 years of experience, but not a lot of HR experience. So it was definitely difficult for me to stand out in the market, which was highly competitive at that point of time. So what I did was I would apply for applications, but not hear anything back. So I kind of stepped back and thought of analyzing what was going wrong and what is it that I could actually leverage. And that's when I stumbled upon the importance of LinkedIn. And I think LinkedIn profile, as well as my personal branding on LinkedIn, really helped me to stand out. I spent almost 2 months actively networking on LinkedIn with people, understanding what personal branding is. So, as a flight attendant, I was already creating content on Instagram and YouTube. So, I was never afraid or shy of camera. So, I thought, with the help of my mentors, with the people I learned LinkedIn from, I thought, let me just go ahead and create video content on LinkedIn.
Mm-hmm.
And that is when I started posting video content on LinkedIn that really stood out. So I was talking about diversity, equity, and inclusion. I was talking about mental health awareness training, especially as human resources professionals. So that really caught the eye of one of the recruiters that I was connected with, and a lot of other HR professionals too. And the same recruiter reached out to me with my current role. And during that time, I had actually also started to actively manifest my job. I know some people might not believe in that, but I put conscious effort in manifesting my job. And I think after like 3 weeks, I successfully landed my current role. So I was actually trying to play to my strength. So, you have certain weaknesses. My weakness, my gap was I do not have a lot of HR experience.
Mm-hmm.
But all of a sudden, I cannot create years of HR experience, right? But I leveraged my strength, and that was putting out content, creating a video and, talking to people about HR, about what can be done, what needs to be done, address the elephant in the room. And I played on my strength.
Mm-hmm.
So I think sometimes it is important to, accentuate your strengths so that they start overshadowing your weaknesses and the gaps. So that was my strategy, to create that personal brand, which would give me that visibility and help me stand out in the competitive market.
Yeah, definitely. We mostly, see our weaknesses only,
Mm-hmm.
but nobody looks at our strengths. Once we start looking at ourselves, we can definitely leverage that, right?
Mm-hmm.
Now, coming back to my next question, reflecting back, if you would like to give one advice to the international student, what would it be?
Oh, it would definitely not be one advice. And it's coming from years of experience and challenges that I encountered. So please allow me to share more advice.
For sure.
Of course, to begin with, I would say that research your program and the school that you want to get into, because if you are applying for a provincial nomination, your scores can get affected by that.
Mhm.
So research that. Next, I would say is reach out to alumni on LinkedIn before you enroll in a business school and ask them about the feedback, about the support that you can get from the university or the college that you're applying in. Third, I would say is be wise and frugal with your finances. You've come here to learn something, to build yourself up. So be wise with those resources don't let them eat up the resources that you actually need. So have that emergency fund available for yourself. Absolutely, definitely. Another thing I would say is that build a support network. So seek out mentors and coaches and people who have already walked that path. So if I am here today, I am what I am because of the support system that I had. So of course, during my entire journey, I had mentors, I had coaches who would tell me, maybe this is what you can do. Maybe personal branding would work for you. So seek out that support system for people. That is highly, highly, highly important. And the last thing I would say is be resilient and positive. As human beings, we feel I feel that we think, and we have the propensity to think that the grass is always greener on the other side.
Definitely.
In reality, the grass is greener on the side you water, right? So if you wait for rain to, flourish your fields, your crops might wither away. But if you create your own sunshine and rain, you can actually create a life where you can thrive. So when we look at the Canadian dream, we are like, okay, we will go to Canada. We look at it with those rose-tinted glasses, that everything is going to be good, the quality of air. But we have to understand that it's an absolutely different place. It's a different environment, a different culture, a different cost of living, standard of living, transportation system. So accept that and work towards, being resilient and being positive that this situation is happening for you right now. Okay. And I think in doing all of that, do not forget your why you're here. And let that why be your guiding factor. Let that why be your North Star. This is what I'm here for, and this is what I'm going to accomplish. So create that vision for yourself, walk that path to your vision, and be able to achieve those goals.
Yeah, definitely. I could relate it a lot. You said that we should know about our why, right? And there is a saying in Hindi कि जब तक आपकी अंदर से वो चीज नहीं ना आती कि मुझे ये करना है, वो जिद नहीं होती, so तब तक आप कर भी नहीं सकते. So you have that ability in you कि अब करना ही है. जिद ये है कि मुझे अब ये जिद पूरी करनी ही है. So that should be the mindset. At last, I would like to ask one question that is my personal favorite because I ask it from everyone. What's Neha's success mantra or Neha's usual mantra to go for life?
Okay. So this is not originally my mantra, but this comes from Tony Robbins, who's a great coach. And that is, life is happening for you and not to you. We usually look at challenges and we are like, why is it happening to me? Why me? Why this problem? Why this situation? But if we start looking at the broader picture, or if we start looking in hindsight and start to connect the dots, it all starts to make sense. And you start realizing that it has been orchestrated for you for a bigger plan, right? So life is not happening to you. If you are in a situation, it's definitely going to bring a lot of growth and transformation for you. So have that growth mindset and see what is it that you can leverage. What is it that you can do and come out of it victorious. The situation that you're in, and have that growth mindset to look at the situation or the obstacle as a growth opportunity, as a stepping stone towards success.
Yes, definitely. Your words made me feel like I'm feeling motivated now that I should do something in life, I would say. It was so inspiring. And your talk led me to the poem that I really, really like. It is from Robert, that the woods are lovely, dark and deep, but I have promises to keep. Miles to go before I sleep. Miles to go before I sleep. With this, I end this conversation. Thank you very much, Neha, for being here. It was a pleasure interviewing you. For more information, please stay tuned to our more episodes. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you.